Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. In today's video we are going to be learning how to cut and sew this simple cottage skirt. This particular one has an asymmetric design which I think is very nice, and I'm going to be showing you how to go about with it. So you'll be needing a pattern paper for this. This is the best way I can explain it, with a pattern paper, and that's why I'm using this. And I'm going to place it on fold like this. And then now the length of this pattern paper is going to be exactly the length of the second step. Remember, this skirt has 3 steps. The first step, which is asymmetric, the second step, which is just below the knee line, and then the third step, which is all the way to the ankle. So the length of this pattern paper is going to be below the knee line. So for mine it is 24 inches. So you can just take your measuring tape and measure from your waistline down to where you want the second step to stop, and you're going to cut the pattern paper like that. And then the width of this pattern paper on fold is 13 inches. And how I got it is I divided my hip by 4, and then I added 4 inches to whatever I got. So my hip measurement, if I divide it by 4, is 9.5, then plus 4 inches extra, and that's how I got the 13 inches. The top of this pattern paper is going to be our waist. So we are going to be taking the measurement from the waist down to the hip. So from my waist down to my hip is 9 inches. I'll just go ahead and mark out the 9 inches, and I'll draw a straight line. So next thing is we are going to divide our waist measurements by 4. I'll mark it there, and I'll add extra 2 inches to it. 1.5 inches for the ease and half an inch for sewing allowance. The essence of this is because we are using an elastic band for this, and we want this to pass through our hip. So that's why we are adding extra 2 inches to this. And then on the hip line, I'm going to divide my hip measurements by 4. I'll mark extra 1 inches to it. Half an inch for ease, and then half an inch for sewing allowance. As you can see, the skirt is fitted around the hip line, and that's why we just added only half an inch to it. While here, I'm going to divide my hip by 4, and I'm going to add extra 4 or 3 inches depending on how wide you want it to be. The essence of this is because we want it to be full at the down parts. Then now I'm just going to connect all 3 lines like this. So after cutting it, you're going to open it up, and this is what we have right here. As you can see, we have something like an A-line design, which is very important. The next thing to do is to extend this line all the way to the other side, and we are going to be going up by 3 inches or 4 inches on this part. So I went up by 3 inches, but I later wish I did 4 inches, although most people won't notice the difference. And now I'm just going to be connecting it all the way to the other side. So as you can see, I'm not drawing a straight line. I'm just curving it like this. So after cutting it out, this is what we have right here. This is the midsection. So one thing I did was to reduce this part by 2 inches. I didn't mention earlier, but I used just 1.5 yards of fabric for this style. That's why I wrote 2 yards, because it's 2 yards that we need. But since I had just 1.5 yards, I had to manage the fabric. And this was when I had to just cut out the length of the skirt, because if you notice, mine is not as long as the one on the thumbnail. So if you want yours to be long, like all the way to your toe, please don't cut anything out, just keep this part. Then after that, you're just going to find the midpoint of the skirt and draw it out right there. And then from here, I'm just going to be marking 2 inches all the way to the other side. So just demarcate it 2 inches on all sides, and I'll do the same thing on the other side as well, 2 inches like that. I'll do the same thing on the down part of the skirt as well. And now I'll be drawing a straight line like this. So the essence of this is for the slash and spread that we're about to do. So when you're done, you're just going to label it 1 to 10. And now I'm just going to be placing this on the fabric and slashing it. So the width and length of the fabric is as shown. So yours can be wider depending on how long your fabric is, but I think mine was less than 40 inches. Right now the fabric is unfolded and I'm just going to be placing the pattern paper on it like this. So what we're going to do first is to slash the section 1. So you just arrange everything and then you slash the first section. So we are slashing just the pattern paper and not the fabric. Then when you slash it, you're going to place it, align the length of the pattern paper to the length of the fabric, let them be equal at that side, and then you also pin down the upside like this. So after that, you're going to continue with the slashing and the spreading. And then another important thing to do is we're going to be spreading it by 1.5 inches. So I use 2 inches right now, but I later reduced it to 1.5 when I realized that my fabric will not be enough. So just use 1.5 inches, which I think is okay. So I'm just going to continue with the slashing and the spreading, and I'm going to make sure that they are even and aligning. And then at this point I realized that my fabric will not be enough. That was when I started reducing it to 1.5. So I went back to pattern paper 1 and reduced everything to 1.5 inches, and I just continued all the way to section 10. So by the time you're done, this is what we have right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out. I won't be adding allowance to the side seam and the down part because I've already added it, and for the upside we are going to be adding 1/2 inch to it. So by the time you're done, this is what we have right now. I'm just going to be removing the pattern paper from it. We have two, one for the back and one for the front. I'm just going to remove the back from it, and now I'm just going to take it to the sewing machine, and I'll be running a gather stitch from the left side to the right side. At this point, I've also cut out the asymmetric part of the skirt, and I added 2 inches here, although just add 1 inches because I later reduced it. Add 1 inches right there, and then 1/2 inch on the downside. I also went ahead to notch this part, the midpoint and the quarter point, so that when we're gathering, we'll know exactly how to place the gathers so that everything will be equal. And I'm just going to remove the pattern paper from it, and like the other one, I cut 2 parts, one for the back and the other one for the front. So onto the middle part of the skirt, I've also notched the middle part of it and then the quarter part, and I've run the gather stitch. So now I'm just going to be gathering it from one point all the way to the next like this. So after gathering, this is what we have. So I'm going to gather and make sure that the length of this is the same as the length of the first section, okay? And then the gathers is going to start about 1/2 inch away from the side seam on both the left side and the right side. So after you are done with this, you're just going to place it right side facing each other, and you're going to sew from the left side all the way to the right side. After I was done sewing, this is what it looks like right now. So now the next thing to do is I'm just going to take my measuring tape, and I'm going to be measuring from the left side. On the second section, I'm going to measure from the left side all the way to the right side, and whatever you get, you're going to times it by 2 inches or by 1.5 inches depending on how full you want it to be. So I got 40 inches, so I'm going to times 40 by 1.5 inches. 40 inches times 1.5, that's 60 inches. So the width of my fabric is 60, while the length of it is 15 inches. And I use 15 inches because if I add 15 to 24, the total length of the skirt will be 39, which is okay for me. So if you want it to be longer, that means you should use more than 15 inches. And then since it's on fold, it's going to be for the back and the front. I'm going to be opening it up at that upside. And then now I've run the gather stitch on it as well, and I've gathered it, and this is what we have for the front. Now I'm just going to be joining the front of the skirt to the midsection, and I'm going to sew it all the way to the other side. So after sewing this is what we have right here. This is the first section, the second, and then the third section. For the down part, you can go ahead and hem it if you want, or you can weave it, whatever works for you, that's fine. Then now I'm going to do the same thing for the back of the skirt. Exactly what I did for the front, I'm going to do the same thing for the back. And now I'm just going to be joining the back to the front at the side seam. So I'm going to sew from the waistline all the way down to the length of the skirt, and I'll be using 1/2 inch sewing allowance. Make sure you weave this when you are done, okay? And then this is what it looks like by the time I'm done sewing. And then now I'm just going to be turning it to the wrong side, and I'm going to be hemming the waist line of the skirt. So I'm going to be using 1 inch hemming method. So I'll hem it 1 inch inside, and then I'll hem it inward by about 0.25 inch or 0.5 inch inward, like this. So you can pin this all round, or you can iron this all round so that you can secure it in place before you start sewing. So I've sewn all around, and I left this side open, just a little hole, and that's where I'm going to be passing this 1 inch elastic band through. So the length of the width of the elastic band is my waist measurement minus 4 inches, okay? So that is the width of the elastic band that you're going to use. So just use a bobbin pin and pass the elastic band through the hole that we created, like this. So when you are done and you remove the bobbin pin, this is what we have right now. So I'm just going to be sewing this together, securing it in place. I'm going to sew it several times so that it will not come out. So now I'm just going to fold it back into the band like this, and I'm just going to be closing that hole that I left open earlier. So after that, this is what the skirt looks like. As you can see, it's not as long as the one in the thumbnail, but it's similar. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.